Do you have rivals in the business?
I like to create allies. I don't like to create rivals.
It's so funny because I literally have heard someone reference you as a competitor and rival.
I give away everything, my playbook. People are like, oh, don't tell him about that lead source. Don't tell him about that technology.
I know. Criticism is one of the biggest dream killers. Nobody's gonna get that one piece of information and go build a 1,000-person organization with it.
A spiritual mentor of mine told me one time, it's like, as long as you do God's work, God always does your work. Freely I receive the kingdom, freely I give the kingdom.
Welcome back. The gentleman joining us today is renowned for taking a contrarian and powerful approach to almost everything he does in his life and business. He's also grown one of the most massive mortgage organizations in the entire country. Welcome, guys. Joseph Shalaby. Welcome, Joe.
What's up, Joe?
Pleasure to have you, man.
Thank you. Thanks for the intro.
Yes,
Glad
absolutely.
to be here.
Yes. Listen, I've known you for a while, right? Both in business and now, thankfully, as friends. And the past 2 to 3 years has really allowed me to get to know you more. And that's because we just experienced one of the biggest downward shifts and contractions in the entire economy coming out of COVID. And then the mortgage and real estate scare of, what was it, 2021, August 2021, when rates shot up. And I couldn't help but to notice that pretty much everyone in the industry, typically just like the Matrix always does, immediately starts pulling back, immediately starts getting worried, immediately starts reacting to what's going on, and almost like this fear-based approach. And then I met with you guys, and I'm sitting with you, and the first words to come out of your mouth during that meeting we had during that time is, it's time to double down. Completely contrarian. And I want you to open up about that most recently on why you take that approach. Why is that such a natural mechanism for you when everybody else is freaking out?
You know, Joe, that was a real enlightening moment when the mortgage industry shifted in 2021, late 2021, where it was really like an awakening for many. And it was at that time that I realized, like, I really have to go all in on my marketing vision, on my recruitment vision. And a lot of people were starting to exit the space, especially when 2022 started and the rates continued to skyrocket. And what I did was, contrary to what, because I have a partner and you know him very well, I have to always plead a case as to why I want to double down.
Yeah.
And it's always meant with a lot of resistance, and I always take a pretty drastic approach to my mindset.
Was it always like that? Well, have you pretty much almost always been like that? By the way, your business partner, who I know very well, Sam, amazing guy. Everybody knows that you guys are polar opposites.
Yeah.
It's like a checks and balance between you two. It's 1 minute you're like loving life and high-fiving and hugging. The next minute you're bumping heads and going at it. You ain't talking for 2 days.
Yeah.
And somehow it feels like that balance. And you're an extremist.
Yeah.
You've been an extremist. But was it always like that? Or did that sort of evolve as you became more experienced?
So Sam's more of like the analytical. And we've always been, since we were friends, I was 14 years old when I met Sam. And we've always been like that. Like, I'd be the crazy one that wants to go out and be calculated, and he'd be calculated, and like, that's not a good idea. So it's always been like that since we were kids.
Right.
Now we just kind of use that same mindset in the way we conduct business. But, he's, as you know, he's, more of like an engineer mindset. And I'm just, a visionary. And not only am I just a visionary, but I'm like an extreme visionary,
Right.
like a crazy visionary. So I have like a lot of crazy ideas, and that's really poured over this year as well when I took the initiative on to be like, a mortgage influencer. And now we did that in 6 months, and now I'm the #1 mortgage influencer.
So let me get into that for a minute. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, but like the contrarian approach, when we took that marketing, when we took that approach in 2021, was met with a lot of hesitation because everybody was running from the fire.
Right.
And I'm like, no, we're going to run in the fire.
Right.
We're going to run to the fire. And that's just the way I always operate.
I remember being out in the streets. We're both fairly well connected. You a bit more than me in the mortgage space. And the calls that I was getting is, we've got to put things on hold. We've got to downsize. We're letting go of a bunch of people. During this time, You guys grow your organization to just under 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
During that time, almost.
And we had 300 people.
Did you anticipate this coming? Were you prepared for it, or was it just instinctual? And the reason I'm asking is because, look, it's a common denominator between beast mode entrepreneurs and just individuals, both men and women, that when times get tough, they immediately start looking for where they can make cutbacks. They almost sort of go into their cocoon a little bit. And it was almost the exact adverse reaction from you. And so now that I know that you've kind of been that way your entire life, it seems to come naturally to you. But that's not necessarily, although it is strategically the mindset with your business partner. Okay, so is it something that you look for in business that when everybody goes left, you go right?
Yeah, and now especially because I've taken that extreme approach for so long, I'm always looking for opportunities where everyone is going one direction, especially with the way for instance, the way I'm marketing, everyone's marketing to like homeowners and like the older generation.
Right.
I'm like, that's the worst way to market. I don't market to anyone over 40.
Why?
Because they are like
There's tons of them.
cold-hearted. They can't be marketed to.
Hey, relax. You're talking about us.
I know. Exactly. So It's hard to market to someone over 40 just because they can't be influenced. So that's why I'm on like social media platforms like Snapchat and TikTok.
Right.
And
you never see that in the
YouTube Shorts.
You might see some real estate agents. And
I'm on Twitch. I'm on Kick.
Right.
I'm on all these platforms. I'm on School and WAP and like all these things that are like, because the youth have the influence.
Mm-hmm.
So the next generation actually influences the future generation, the older generation. So everything I do is contrarian. Everyone's like, why is it? You're crazy. Like, why are you doing that? Like, the more I hear that I'm crazy, the more I know, dude, I'm doing something right.
You know me, I love crossing boundaries too. It seems like every time your name comes up in a conversation when you're not there, the quote unquote is like, dude, that guy is crazy, man. That guy is weird, man. That guy is silly, bro. That guy is a lunatic, dude. And I'm thinking quietly in my head, like, yes, he is. Now, listen,
look what I do on the streets. Dude, I go out, no CEO of my caliber. We're in the top 5 mega companies in the world. No CEO will go out in the street and just like, you should see the new set of content I'm doing right now. We go into Walmart and we basically just scan our item while someone's checking out while they're scanning their stuff. And I'm doing this with like a top YouTube influencer. Like, I'm basically running up to someone and telling them, I'm like, pay for my item, please. I'm broke.
Please pay for it. And then you return.
And then I just pay. They're just like, some people are like freaking out. Like, what are you doing?
See, I could totally see you doing something like that. Okay, getting out.
And like, maybe some people want to beat me up, but like the fact that I'm doing this stuff, like nobody's willing to go to the extreme measures.
Listen, I want to feed off of that real quick, because criticism is one of the biggest dream killers early in a campaign like that, when you're getting into a vertical or adding a marketing, a branding piece to your business that you've never done before, and you get made fun of a lot.
Yeah.
I have heard people make fun of you right in front of my face, not in a bad way or a harmful way, but almost like in a joking way. And you continue to go out there. And one of my favorite things that you did is the one where you're going around asking people if they follow you. And, earlier on, people were like, no, who? Never heard of him before, right?
It's a problem now. When I go out and ask people if they follow me, like they actually, we did the mystery follow video.
Yeah.
And I walked up, and I'm always expecting no. Walked up to a group of high school girls. I said, "Do you guys follow me?" And they're like, "We do follow you." I'm like, dang it.
You started giving away free shit. That's why.
Yeah, and like, dang it, these kids actually follow me. And we were panicking because, like, oh my God, we don't have anything
now. I'm not sure what to do now. So listen, that's super, super fun. Let me take it to a serious side for a second. When any industry goes through a massive change, when a country goes through a massive change, it stirs up emotions. This is why you always hear me talking about how being emotionally stable and being strong is really easy to do in sunny weather. But when the storm comes around, you see a lot of true colors. You've been pushing buttons and making moves, and during contractions or any massive change like what we've seen, particularly in the mortgage and real estate business, there's a lot of movement, what I call it's divorce season. Okay. And there's a lot of movement in the industry. You typically take advantage of that. And along the way, it's a guarantee that you're going to create rivals. Do you have rivals in the business?
I mean, for me, I think everyone's on my team. Like every big competitor in our space has been on my podcast. I like to create allies.
Right.
I don't like to create rivals because allies are your partners. Like I can walk when I go to our masterminds events and I meet all the big CEOs in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like the star of the show because they're my buddies.
It's so funny because I literally have heard someone reference you as a competitor and rival, and then the next month be on your show. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean,
why not feed into the rivalry?
Everyone's a competitor and rival, but you know, because we're all trying to beat each other,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, like we're all contacting. Like I can contact them for counsel.
Sure.
Like there's only 5 of us mega companies, 6 of us mega companies.
Right.
Like, and we all have the same problems, same issues.
Right.
So why, you know, there's some companies that I just don't take people from. They're like good buddies of mine. Like I won't accept their people, and they're smaller anyway. So I'm like, you can't apply here. If you work there,
unless maybe like time has really passed by and they've already moved around several times.
Yeah. Or like he's, you know, I get their blessing, but there's a handful of companies where I just won't accept them. But the mega companies, for the most part, we all look at each other like we're free game. Like you got 1,000 loan officers, I got 1,000 loan officers. Like I'm not going to miss one or two.
It's one thing that I've never. Well, I understand it. I shouldn't say that because you know I'm obsessed with being a communication expert. Doesn't mean that I've mastered every area. It just really intrigues me, and I'm always interested and fascinated by people who hear the shit talking or the rumbling behind their backs or whatever the case may be, and they're constantly in this fight or flight mode, like it's a battle instead of how can I use it to build a relationship, increase my level of outward integrity in the industry. How can I use these things to become more powerful?
Yeah.
Why is it that so many people, so many people in the financial sectors are more likely to battle instead of to partner?
For whatever reason, for years and years and years, the financial sector has been plagued with this like scarcity mindset. And just recently, and this is just recently, and because of like thought leaders like Alex Ramosi and Matt Ishbia and you know some of the other bigger thought leaders in the social media space who are really preaching an abundance mindset. Like give away, like I give away all my trade secrets. They're all published online.
But you don't give away free mortgages. See,
I mean,
mortgages is how you make money.
Yeah.
So you guys can give away free stuff. There are people who can't do that. At your level is what you're saying. You should.
I mean, I give away everything. My playbook, like when I was in the mortgage industry and someone found out about a lead source when I was growing up like 20 years ago.
Right.
People were like, oh, don't tell him about that lead source. Don't tell him about that technology. Don't.
There's still people like
that. Don't tell anybody. This is our,
like knowing that is going to automatically grow your business. Yeah,
this is our trade secret. Like as soon as I find something out that's going to help the community, I tell the community, guys, this is what's up.
Dude, you know how many times I've been in meetings, I've visited with over 400 companies, and that comes with CEOs, management, salespeople, managers, directors, leaders. And you know how many times, particularly in the past, I've heard people, we have a really different marketing approach. We have a unique relationship with our marketing guy. We wrote this mail piece, or we're doing this. I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, you do realize, first, number one, that it's probably already been done 1,000 times, except for some of this new stuff that are just coming out, AI, social media, yada, yada. And I go, number two, nobody's going to get that one piece of information and go build 1,000-person organization with it. There's a million moving components.
Yeah.
Right. I've noticed that you sort of, again, are on the massive, you take a completely different approach to that, to where you're actually sharing and putting online the strategies that your own company is using to grow.
We publish our trade secrets. Like there's no trade secrets with us. We publish what we're doing at a macro level. We market what we're publishing, right? So that we can help other people with it, because that comes with an abundance and a give back mindset. And I live by a biblical philosophy where it's like freely I receive the kingdom, freely I give the kingdom.
Wow.
So as long as I freely,
Can you say that again?
freely I receive the kingdom, freely I give the kingdom.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't make that up. That's the
in the
Lord
Bible.
said that, right? So
Right, absolutely.
freely you receive the kingdom, freely you give the
Yeah.
kingdom. And that's just something that always plays in my head all the time. And that's something that I live by. It's a biblical principle I live by with the way I conduct my business.
Mhm.
And you know, a spiritual mentor of mine told me one time, it's like, as long as you do God's work, God always does your work. So, you know, I look at our organization as an opportunity to do God's work. And because of that, we're able to grow so fast, scale so fast. And people look at my leadership style, and the top talent in the world is attracted to the way we do business because it's moral, it's ethical, it's, you know, we live and breathe our values, and we live and breathe, you know, what we want them to do in the world, not just within the walls of
What you're
eMortgage.
talking about is hardly is ever anybody going to ever come on the show or any other public domain and not say that. At least, I mean, you said it very well, quoting specifically, you know, why you believe in these things. We all make mistakes along the way, right? But sticking to that and coming back to it is one of the most challenging things to do in the determining moments, like in the moment of challenge, getting back to your faith, getting back to your values, showing up with integrity, trying to take the more helicopter approach instead of reacting to the nitty gritty on the ground. And, you know, I know that you've been in the industry, what, for over 20 years now?
Yeah,
Over
20,
20
over
years.
20 years.
Now,
Yeah.
you've also have a amazing family relationship with your wife, beautiful children, a business partner, an organization that's been through two massive recessions now. We're in the middle of one right now, which you guys are setting up pretty well for, are set up pretty well for. But there's been challenges. And I mean, just as a fellow man speaking, especially in the modern world, of all these influences everywhere, we're going to come across some major challenges, things that we would have never anticipated would come up or happen at that point of our life. What is probably one of the biggest personal challenges that you've had to overcome, no matter how embarrassing or how difficult it was?
The biggest personal challenge is always like maintaining a good marriage, because with maintaining a good marriage, then you can maintain a good, healthy relationship with all your kids and your family, and kind of everything falls in line after that. So the toughest challenge I always try to maintain and work on and improve is being a good husband and a good father. And then from there, like, I look at like my servitude for the church, my servitude for the business. So, you know, it's kind of like falls in that.
Do you feel that overcoming those challenges in your relationship or in your family is directly proportionate to your ability to overcome challenges in the business world?
Yeah. And then there's also like, there's um, a big parallel with the challenges I faced in my adolescence, my youth, that have also enabled me to overcome the challenges I face.
What is one?
Well, just because I grew up in a third world,
Mhm.
poverty stricken, like, but not just like people are like, I grew up poor. Like, no, bro. I grew up in a third world, and we were in a poor part of a third world, which makes it like a sixth world. So, like, so you grew up like dirt poor. And I've been fortunate enough to grow up dirt poor, be from a Middle Eastern mindset, poor, but have the benefit of looking like a white guy.
Listen, dude,
Which is a huge benefit in America.
do you remember? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I got to tell you
Yeah,
something.
but because I'm a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, or green-eyed, whatever color my eyes are, I look like a white guy. But I have like the ability to negotiate like a dirt poor Egyptian. I've been able to really like fast track my entrepreneurial spirit. And it started, you know, I started my first entrepreneurial venture at 14, and I was doing it at hookah bars in the Egyptian community.
Didn't you guys told me one time when we were all just chatting, getting to know each other, that You used to be the guy that go out and put flyers all
Yeah,
over town.
my mom used to make fun of me because I started throwing events.
Could you guys imagine him going putting flyers everywhere? Like, come to my event.
Yeah. That started at 14. But look, because I was doing that at 15 years old, I was guerrilla marketing in the streets, just telling people to come to my parties. I can go back to the streets and be like, do content with random people on the streets.
Yeah.
So
No shame in your game at all.
There is no shame at all in what I do. I come from
we all know that when you show up, by the way.
Yeah.
Joe's coming this, by the way.
Yeah, there's no shame. I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes to win.
Right.
Like, and I'll do whatever it takes to draw a crowd. I'll do whatever it takes to get people to believe in my vision. And it's been like that since, like I was born.
I ran into you randomly at my CPA's office, my tax guy's office, like 10 years ago. I don't know if you remember. Anyway, I remember you going, "Hey, how are you?" Just a quick hello. I think you were there with your wife, maybe one of your children at the time. And I didn't know that you had a Middle Eastern background at the time. And you're like, "Yo, how you been?" Good, good, good. And you kind of pause and you're like, I'm Middle Eastern, right? And I remember thinking in my head, like, the hell, this white boy over here says he's Middle Eastern? Like, I didn't know we had white people like that in the Middle East, right? So even though my oldest brother does have blue eyes, but I think somebody had mentioned it. It just never dawned on me, and that you had experienced some of those things growing up.
Yeah. So something funny is so I told you I grew up poor, but because I grew up poor, I grew up in a city called Bellflower Downey, Compton area.
Right.
Okay. And the Bellflower Downey, the Compton, the Lakewood area over there where I grew up was St. George Church. And I was the only white guy in my entire community. And the way my mom raised us is we grew up at church, like Monday through Sunday, every single day, like church and then the church club and then the church events. And because I grew up in this very dark brown community in the hood at the time, highly influenced by like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, like, because that's where we were located as a church. I actually experienced reverse racism.
Yeah.
Like I was made fun of for being a white guy.
Really?
Like my entire life. Like what's this?
I think we're still doing it.
Yeah. You're still
Pretty sure we're still doing it.
So people were like, what is this white guy here for? Like, why are, like I grew up with the name white boy.
You got a little soul too.
I have a lot of soul because, I'm like black on the inside.
There you go. Right?
So I grew up.
And you're Egyptian.
Yeah, I'm Egyptian, so I'm African American.
Yeah.
So I grew up in this community, this African American community, as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy,
which is probably a blessing.
Well, which is huge because it gave me the resilience of those communities, and it gave me like in the public forum, because at that time, I didn't experience getting pulled over.
Understand.
All the time. I didn't experience like the stuff that they were dealing with at the public level.
Right.
I
understand the challenges.
I understand, how judged they were, and I could just look as a outsider like, man, it would, it sucks being white.
I shouldn't say you
Monday through Sunday.
Understand more so.
Yeah, it sucks being the white guy Monday through Sunday at church and with the community, but it is great when I'm in the public.
I think that's the best thing that could ever happen.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, it was the best thing.
The best thing that could have ever happened.
Being white in a black community was like, it was cool to see everything that, experience everything and have, and then have all the benefits.
Yeah. Man, it's so crazy how life just like is a compounding effect of experiences, realizations, appreciation, humble moments, accomplishments, challenges, burned bridges sometimes, and judgments and all those things. I know for myself, one of the most important things that might have happened by default, being out and connecting with so many people, is being able to know who to include in your circle of trust and who to keep at a respectful distance. You have some great people around you, wonderful business partner, right? Strong-minded, very well thought out, process. No business is perfect. You handle challenges as they come, but the people that you choose to have around you within your organization has to be probably in the top 3. How do you choose the people to partner with? How do you decide who's going to be close and help lead the ship? And whether and what specific characteristics do you look for?
So, like I was saying earlier, I've been blessed enough to be part of a community, a good Coptic Orthodox Christian community. So I grew up in a faith-based community. So a lot of the times I select a partner, they have the same moral compass, the same values, also the same heritage. My business partner, thankfully, we come from the same faith, same values, same school, same struggles financially as
So are you
kids.
saying if somebody doesn't come from your faith, they won't be a leader in your organization?
No. I just look at I look at all the attributes. Like with Sam, we had the same number of siblings. We're both the oldest of four. We're both, the same mindset. I thought he was going to be, because there was a time from.
Those are the only four things you guys have in common, by the way.
No. We have a lot more similar interests, but
Sure.
The number one attribute I look at is their moral compass.
Got it.
If they have a strong moral compass,
What if it's somebody you're just meeting?
And then I do have a higher propensity to work with the Egyptian people, just because
Really?
Yeah, I like to work with them.
You're one of the only people that will be honest about that.
Yeah, because Egyptians who are, like a lot of Egyptians don't like to work with other Egyptians. But I'm a different Egyptian. And the reason I'm a white Egyptian. Okay. So I take an American approach to that. I look at wanting to work with them because I understand their faith and their heritage. And I know their moral compass tends to be higher than many people that I'm looking at.
Haven't you ever worked with somebody that has a similar moral compass, but you disagree, you're just not compatible?
Yeah, but as a commonality, Coptic Orthodox people have a higher level of connectedness to their faith.
Are you making a bold statement?
It's an absolute fact.
We love those on this show.
Yeah. No, it's a fact.
It almost makes it sound like you're saying only us.
No. I like. Also, I look at the Chaldeans. Also highly connected to their faith. Any Orthodox Christian, any serious Catholic, even serious Protestant. Anyone who's serious about their faith, I prefer to.
That's what I like.
I don't care if they're serious about being. Any faith,
any faith.
Any faith.
Yeah, it's
a lot of our good friends.
Compasses are very similar.
Alan Beydoun at UWM, very faithful Muslim.
Right.
It doesn't matter, as long as you're a faithful person, you're going to have a higher moral compass, and that's all I look at. Your moral compass is everything. And in the world of business, people are so swayed by money, or so swayed by their own personal motive.
Yeah.
And that's not what it's about. My number one pillar within the organization is servitude. And you serve God with all your heart, your might, your soul. You serve each other with all your heart, your might, your soul. You serve your vendor partners, your lender partners. It's not about the money. The money passes. But
so you being an extremist, talking about servitude and overcoming challenges and selecting people for the moral compass and things like that. Look, you can make a lot of mistakes in that realm. But you mentioned a challenge earlier, possibly one of the biggest challenges that you mentioned was in personal relationships, and even then with your family or your wife. You have quite a few kids. How many do you have?
I have 4 kids.
You have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And you also lead one of the largest mortgage organizations in the country.
Yeah.
And you're also involved in about 3 or 4 other type of mastermind and servitude groups. And you also are pretty actively involved in your church. And you also travel from time to time for business events. In fact, you guys hold one of the largest business events every year, EMC Connect. What is the story? I'm not going to even mention the word balance, because we know that word doesn't really exist in our choice of life. But talk to us about what's going on.
I'll actually break it down. I like to say I have 7 jobs. So I'm a father and a husband. That's 2 jobs. Then I'm a CEO. That's 3rd job. Then I'm a top loan originator. That's a 4th job. Then I'm a top recruiter. That's a 5th job.
Right.
Then I'm a podcaster, full podcast, top podcast, 6th job. Then I'm a content creator, 7th job. Then actually I have more. And then I'm like a servant. like for the church and like a community servant,
Sure.
eighth
You
job.
still have the same number of hours we do, right?
Yeah. So I have 7 or 8 full-time jobs,
Right.
and I try to do all of them at a top level. And I'm not just a content creator on like Instagram, right?
Sure.
I'm a content creator on like 15 platforms.
Sure.
So yeah, it's
But back to the family life, man.
the
4 kids.
4 kids, and I got to be at all the practices or
How
games.
important is it having the right
That's
partner?
yeah, absolutely imperative. Like you can't do it without a good partner. And being at like as soon as I leave this podcast, I'm like gonna go do something with the kids. We're going to the
Right.
beach, or we're going to the jumpy place, or whatever it is.
Tell me about the strengths of your wife for a minute.
I mean, she can multitask. She's very patient with the kids, very patient with me. Um, she can lay down the law with everybody,
Nice.
which is really important. That and just kind of keeping everyone accountable at all times,
Right.
making sure that everyone is, like going to bed on time, getting 4 kids to bed while they're fighting you is very difficult. Making sure all their
leaves some
teeth,
blood in them.
all their teeth are brushed. They're all stubborn. They're all very, very
Your kids are stubborn.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Stubborn, but they're high performers. Like my kids are like to operate like 4. She's raising 4 young CEOs. My kids are all high performers like me.
Yeah,
So
I've seen them move. I've seen them in the office.
yeah, so they're like, they're going to be able to, you see that they're doing content with me, then they're doing this event, then they're doing that. So they're all really high performers. And my wife's a high performer too, but she's just doing it at the household level. But she's also,
a lot.
She's managing like, our different investments. She's managing different companies we have. She's managing the kids. She's doing stuff for the church. I mean,
Right.
She's also juggling a lot.
Right. I know that I've met them now several times at several events, and want to talk about a high energy family. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, right? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah,
Right. They're all over the place, smiley, jumping around, high energetic.
Yeah.
And so forth. I know that family's been a big part of your success story, maybe one of the biggest parts of your success story. And listen, we're right now mid 2024, and with all this going on, the family, the business, the economic challenges, the uncertainty of the next 6 to 12 months. We've got elections coming up. We have all types of speculation happening within the mortgage community, the real estate community, the investor community. We have a lot of speculation happening with the health of our country, the direction of our country, and so forth. There's so much on the horizon right now. What's next for you guys? Where are you headed and why?
We are on a massive uptrend in growth right now. So just like this year I took on the initiative of becoming really big on social media. And I say this all the time, like our top 5 competitors, not one of them have a podcast, not one of them are viral on social media. So I'm looking at the next 6 to 12 months as an opportunity to climb the ranks and not just be number 4 or 5 in the country. It's just like really establish ourselves as the number 1 company and platform and brand in the country, just to make it like, because we can, our 5 the top 5, the top 6 companies, they can buy their way to the top. We all have lots of money. We can invest. We can do technology, AI, hire engineers, yada, yada, hire data analysts, hire more marketing people. But what they cannot do, that what money will not buy, is what I've done. It won't buy it. Like no one's going to go out in the streets and do the content. No one's going to do the things that it took for me to.
That's going to make you economy proof.
It's just right now I'm all about building the brand.
Sure.
I want to have the most powerful, largest brand. Everybody sees it and it's just on the tip of everyone's tongue. How is that going to be monetized? Will there be a dollar value associated with it? If I'm on the tip of everyone's tongue, and not the tip of your tongue, but the tip of your kid's tongue, like if the kids know me, the parents will work for us. And that's the vision. And I'm rolling with that vision. I believe in that vision. I believe that as long as I'm touching millions of people every single day and I'm establishing ourselves as the biggest brand in the mortgage sector, I'm going to organically gain the top talent in the country. That all the top people at all my competitors will organically gravitate to our model because we're going to have the best technology, the best marketing, the best branding, the best leadership, and the CEO has walked the walk with the top originators. I'm not just saying, oh, come to eMortgage. We help with social media.
Yeah.
No, come to eMortgage because the top CEO in the country is also a top originator and is also the #1 mortgage influencer, and he did it himself. Why don't you come learn from him because he actually does it.
Yeah.
So
you have a good team around you too. And then, that makes me want to ask you, like, I'm in the business performance world. I enjoy it. How do you recruit that heavily and still maintain a high performance company? Because from my opinion, what I've gone around is anytime you just start racking up people, you make sacrifices in productivity. How are you guys handling that?
I just went back to recruiting in the last 3 weeks because I was so heavy involved in the content creation and then also do some production. And I'm seeing parallels in the recruits. Like if they don't align with my vision, like I talked to a recruit, like, do you understand? Like you need to market. You need to be a brand on social media. You need to brand yourself on all platforms. Like if they're not aligned with what I'm doing, what I've done, like then they're not going to work because I'm telling you, your days are numbered.
You think 900 people are going to do that?
Well, I mean, their days are numbered. Like I tell everybody, I say this all the time. Like, guys, if you're not using AI, you're not on social media, you don't build a personal brand, like I would suggest looking at other opportunities.
And you provide those support.
Yeah, we provide the infrastructure, support, resources, technology, all the playbooks. They just got to take action. Mm-hmm. Like there is no reason why I should be the top producer, one of the top producers in the country when it's one of my 7 jobs.
Yeah.
One of my 8 jobs.
You and I said we're going to battle it out sometime on the phone. Still waiting for that.
Yeah. Well, let's do it.
2 Joes closing deals.
Yeah.
Right. It would be a good time.
It would be.
So listen, I know you have your own show as well. It's called Coffee is for Closers.
Coffees for Closers.
Coffees for Closers. How much more classic can it get than that?
Coffees with a Z.
For Closers. Right. But you've had some amazing guests on there, tons of CEOs.
All I got is CEOs.
It's growing very, very quickly. We did one together and so forth. So guys, if you want to check it out, it's called Coffees for Closers. Also check out his Instagram, his social media. It is hilarious. Want a guy who's both smart and funny, not afraid of making a fool of himself, be a dork, have a little fun, get a little glimpse of his family life and so on and so forth, his faith and all those things happening at the same time. I highly encourage you, if you haven't already, definitely spend some time, invest some time checking out some of the work that Joe has done as an individual, as a professional, as a father and husband, and also what he's doing in the business community and leveraging social media. The guy is a riot. I want you to know, anyone tells me this guy is crazy over 1,000 times is somebody that I probably want to be friends with. Joe, I want to thank you for coming out and investing some time on a Saturday, even though you have a family today and it is Father's Day weekend. Appreciate everything that you're doing. I want to wish you the best of success and probably have you on again to uncover some more things that I know that you could share with our community. All right. Thank you, boss.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.